Good evening, everybody. Good evening. If you are in Colorado, the evening is just beginning at 5 o'clock Mountain Time. But anywhere else, it's already getting later, unless, of course, you're on the Pacific side. But good evening and welcome to the Buddhist Biohacker podcast and vlog live on YouTube. And if you're listening in on the podcast on iTunes or Spotify, welcome to all of you when you join us as well. My name's Lisa Gunshore and I am your host, and it's been such a happy day today. There's been so many amazing things going on today, and I'm just as excited to have my guest tonight, Eve Crowe, with us. Welcome, Eve.
Hi there, Lisa. Thank you.
Yes, welcome. And for everybody who is joining in live on Facebook, you're welcome to write your comments into the comment section, and I'll be able to share those questions as we go through. So welcome to everybody there, and we're going to get started. So for those of you who have not heard of or met Eve Crowe, she was an integral part of our One Heart, One Earth Global Healing Summit that we had a few weeks ago. And it was such a joy to meet her and to connect with her. And it absolutely inspired me to have her on my podcast as well. And so, Eve, I wanted to take the beginning of this for you just to share who you are and what you do.
Okay. So my name is Eve Crowe, and right now my business name is Coyote Star. It's been Coyote Star pretty much for 30 years. I took a little break and called it Ancient Medicine for a while. I have a private practice and I teach workshops in shamanism and metaphysics. I also take people through processes, past life regressions. I do ceremonies and rituals for people to help them manifest different things in their life, to let go of different people and situations. Some people hire me for a full year, and every month they receive a home and land clearing for them, their children, their pets. And Shamanic Coaching is something that I just created, and I love it because I love coaching. I love when people have goals. But when you step into Shamanic Coaching, I'm teaching people how to journey and how to receive answers through journeying ceremonies and rituals, whether we're on the phone, in person, or on Zoom. And so people are learning shamanism at the same time that they are also receiving answers and healings for themselves. And it's a wonderful prerequisite if you want to learn deeper modalities in shamanism. For instance, soul retrieval and extraction, and all of those are best to be taught in person.
I love it.
And I do psychic readings. I started out as a psychic reader in my 20s. I do psychic readings and Reiki and all kinds of different things in my toolbox.
I love it. Well, you know, there's been a whole lot of talk about shamanism since the summit, because we had several workshops from you and other healers that were all part of a shamanic tradition of some kind or another. And so I would love for you to talk about your own experience. How did you come into shamanism? And within that also, like, how does someone, like, what does a shaman mean? How does somebody become one? What did you experience? I mean, I think those are the big questions that are up for people right now.
Okay. So in a nutshell, my grandmother and great grandmother were healers. One of them did use an egg, and that is a shamanic technique where you take an egg and you rub the egg over the body and extract out disease, dis-ease. She called it the evil eye. So I'm sure it's in my blood. People that did my astrology chart said I had the mystic rectangle and all these, the finger of God, and all of these archetypes in my chart suggesting that this was my path, was to be a shamanic practitioner. We're not allowed to call ourselves a shaman. That's actually taboo for me to say it. You could say she's a shaman, but I have to say that I'm a practitioner. I went through the windshield of a car when I was 18, and someone else was driving. We were drinking and driving, and my face actually just went through the windshield and came back into the car, and I was in a coma, and I had a near death. And a lot of people that practice shamanism have near death simply because you learn how to go between the worlds in that time period, and you connect to the divine, and there's a lot that happened. So when I came out of the coma, I had to address a lot of scars on my face, and I looked somewhat like a burn victim. And I had to develop my heart because nobody wanted to look at me because I had so many scars on my face, and it was just horrible. And so at a very young age, my looks were stripped from me. And I had to learn how to become a beautiful person, because that was how I could connect with people. And eventually the scars went away, but it was a very deep initiation. An initiation, the definition of an initiation, is a passage that you go through that you don't know if you're going to get through or not, but it creates your character. So at a young age, I became very compassionate for people that went through deep pain processes and traumas. I didn't do anything with it, even though I felt connected to the spirits. I had some fear. I was young, and I had a regular job. At some point, I got chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia when it was very new. And so the doctor said, we think it's this new thing called chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia. We don't really know. You may have to move home with your parents and, quit your job and prepare to possibly die. Your immune system is shot. And I was, in my 20s, and I said, there is no way. I don't buy that. It didn't feel right to me. So I started drinking carrot juice and getting on different herbs. And in 2 weeks, I was up and functioning, and talked to the doctors and said, what's going on here? Why don't you know about immune boosting things like carrot juice and echinacea and reishi mushroom? And they said, we weren't taught that. So I started to go into an alternative state. I still would sometimes not feel good. So I found a shaman, and he did a soul retrieval on me, and he described the car accident. I didn't even tell him about the car accident. He just said that when I had my near death, a part of my soul was still stuck up in the death zone. That's the easiest way I can explain it in layman's terms. And my soul was stuck there. And so my body thought I was supposed to die. So he retrieved the soul, blew that part of me back into my body, and I was never sick again. And because I had such a miraculous outcome, I started studying shamanism, and I knew I had gifts. And so I left my career and started off as a psychic reader and a Reiki master, and then started studying with different shamans. And every single weekend I went to a shamanic workshop. I wanted to really make sure that if I was going to use that word, because it's a very high honor, I wanted to make sure I was really connected to the spirits. So I did fire walks, and I broke an arrow with my throat. I did a lot of ceremonies that were initiations, ways of finding out, can spirit come through me? Because I know I'm not doing this myself. And so I did a lot of that. And I spent a lot of time at the ocean, in the mountains, talking to the wind, talking to birds. And I just spent a lot of time, besides training, every workshop I could find for years and years. I would train. I would fly to New Mexico. I would drive up to Maine, because I was born in Massachusetts. And I just went everywhere I could to learn about shamanism. So there's lots of, a shaman is one who mends the soul, and there's lots of different ways. So in my form, core shamanism, I also studied Peruvian and Tibetan shamanism and Celtic shamanism. So there's all these different, it's like an education that I received. And so when I work with someone, I will ask my guides, which one do we use? They're recipes, they're formulas that you learn and you memorize, and they come very easy to me. And so I learned and memorized all of them. And when I would sit with someone, my guides would say, oh, do the Celtic one for this one, or use the Peruvian one, or the Norwegian one, or, do soul retrieval. Soul retrieval is the basis of what I do with everyone. That's the first session that I normally do with people as a foundation. Because when we have traumas, even when you fall off your bike, or if your teacher yells at you at school, you go into a freeze shock state, and your soul leaves the body. And when the soul leaves the body, it just kind of spins and doesn't really know where to go. and it can end up in different dimensions. And so the reason the near death is so handy for a shaman is that we already have left our body, gone to these other dimensions, been in a coma, and come back. So in the journey, which I use the beat of the drum, I drum and journey and leave my body and go find parts of people's soul where you actually see them, age 5, 3, 7, 45, and you gather the essence of their soul and you journey over to them and blow that into them. And then, like what happened with me, you have a higher immune system. It takes away a lot of loneliness and depression, and you have your vital life force back. And so that's, the first step of shamanism. So to me, I could say a shaman is one who knows how to do soul retrieval, extraction, depossession work, clearings, but there are other shamans that don't do it exactly in that way that are shamans. So it's someone that has a gift. And I do feel a lot of people are raw shamans, which is what I was. I was raw. I had a lot of the teachings I already was doing, but I felt the training was really important because I wanted to make sure I was doing it right. I wanted to stay healthy. And you learn a lot about protection and being healthy and being ethical when you train with someone like Sandra Ingerman. She was one of my main teachers, David Corbin, Nan Moss. I mean, I could go on and on, but they're very ethical beings and really taught us a lot about how to help people, treat them, to not treat them like a dollar bill, to, really know that you're working with someone's soul and to be very gentle and loving and kind and a good listener and a deep listener. And so does that answer some of your questions?
Absolutely. Well, and one of my thoughts that came up while you're talking is if you think back in all of those training and workshops and classes and learnings, what's your favorite memory? Like, what's your favorite memory of all those times? Is there something that sticks out to you that's like, man, that was like either a profound experience or just, I don't know, something that really gives you joy when you think about through your training process?
Wow. There were so many classes. There's one funny thing that came up when you asked me that question. We had to do some shape shifting, and I had shape shifted with Hawk. That was the power animal that wanted me to shape shift. So we were outside and they're drumming, and you have to become Hawk. And I became Hawk, and I was looking underneath the house for mice. I don't like mice. And that was funny to me because I thought, wow, this must really be working because I'm actually looking for mice, which is what a hawk would do. And so that was kind of outrageous for me in the beginning of my training.
Yeah, I bet.
But I would say, mostly all of the drumming, coming together with a group of people. Now we're doing a lot on Zoom, but coming together with a group of people and doing a power animal journeying together, and then coming out of the journey and doing a power animal dance was one of my favorites. And if you could imagine 60 people, drumming and cawing and growling and crawling on the ground and shape-shifting with bear and lion and hawk and eagle, and it was wild. It was just so exciting. And that's what I love about shamanism. Every journey to this day, it's been 30 years, every journey is exciting and different. And if you're looking for excitement out there in the world, you're always going to be in drama. But if you create an inner landscape in your own inner world and you're journeying on a regular basis, you don't need any of that outer chaos and all of that. You've got all the excitement, all the adventure right here inside of yourself.
Oh, I love that. And that had to have been so cool. I want to do that. I was like, that sounds really fun.
It was outrageously fun. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And so now on Sundays, I'm doing something called Shamanic Sundays. And while we're going through what we're going through, eventually it'll just be one Shamanic Sunday per month. But it's every Sunday right now at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And we're doing that. We did a power animal journey. We did a power animal dance. And we could hear everyone cawing and howling. And we sang medicine songs together and we shared. And so I like to create community with people. community of like-minded people, because a lot of people are surrounded by more mainstream people that don't get this. And, oh, you're hearing voices, you must need to go to a psychiatrist. Maybe it's your spirit guide. Maybe it's your power animal that's trying to communicate with you.
Oh, I love that. That's so awesome. So what are your power animals? I'm curious.
Well, your main power animal, some people say, quote, you're not supposed to say what it is, and other people do. I have a lot of different power animals. Obviously, one of my power animals is Coyote, and that's why I have Coyote Star. And Coyote, for me, a lot of people go right to trickster. You know, Coyote helps you to dig to the depth of one's soul for healing and to make something light and fun. So if I want to go right into someone's grief, I will drum and sing a coyote song. And that'll get me right deep into their soul to lift everything out. And then people feel lighter after. So that's one power animal that I like. I work with fox a lot. And my fox is very animated. If it's raining out, he'll pick me up for the journey in a little rocket or some kind of tricycle with a hot air balloon with a yellow slicker on. I mean, he's really funny. I know, he's very animated. And so, or he'll show up with, you know, a little old fashioned rocket with glasses on, and he's very funny and animated. And I work with bear and panther, and they all have their different meanings because I've been doing this for a while. So I have a whole zoo of animals that I work with. And I love doing power animal retrievals for people because some people want to know what their power animal is, or they want another power animal. And you can do a power animal retrieval for somebody very quickly within 40 minutes. And they have another power animal that they can start working with.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So let's talk about you. You have all this great experience and you've developed your own process, you know, this 4-piece or 4-part process. And so I want you to talk about that. You know, what is that? And what are these 4 parts? Because some of it you graciously shared with us during the summit. And so I had some profound experiences with those. And so I just want you to share first what kind of those steps are, and then we can kind of dig into each step individually. So
Sure. So I call it the 4 series. It used to be the 3 series. And I just stumbled upon this because people were originally coming to me for, you know, psychic readings and Reiki. And then I felt like I wanted to help people deeper. And when I got into shamanism, people would have a soul retrieval. So we'd start with an extraction and a soul retrieval. Extraction, pulling out entities or just darkness, sadness, grief, traumas. So we would do the extraction and then do the soul retrieval. So that's step 1. And then I learned a technique called Karmic Release. I love Karmic Release. I have seen mothers and daughters that are like this with each other, fall in love with each other, start having lunch together every week. And I've seen couples, the same thing. A lot of times we see people through old eyes. Oh, I remember what you did in 1803. You want to like them, you want to love them, you can even be drawn to them, you can marry them, you can have a relationship with them, but then your stuff comes up. And so with the karmic release, it releases a lot of relationship issues. It releases your poverty, your lack, your money issues. It releases all kinds of, let's say, love issues. When I was living in California, there were different women that I worked with. They hadn't had a date in 20 years. They were in their 60s and they just kind of just stopped dating. And when we did the karmic release, we karmic released their past marital vows because on some level, they were still married. We're not taught in our culture, but we get married and then we get divorced, but we don't do a ceremony to unravel and undo the vow. And so after I was taking these women through karmic release and all kinds of people, not just women, people within a year, sometimes 3 months, would meet their beloved. And so I thought, wow, I'm cupiding people now. This is amazing. So, and then it was happening with money as well. And it still does. I have lots of testimonials of people that went from nothing to double, tripling, quadrupling their income, working at a bank, then owning their own business, making $1 million. And it's all through the getting your soul parts restored, the karmic release, getting all the stuff out of the way. What are your beliefs around money? We get our parents' beliefs by age 3, and then we have our past life beliefs, and then we have our ancestors' beliefs. So the karmic release is very, very powerful. And then the third session is the subconscious, because I realized after I was doing karmic release that people's subconscious mind was getting wiped out. And people would call and say, I don't know what to think about now. My mind is almost blank. So I started researching. Oh, okay. Your subconscious makes 95% of your reality. So if you want to make something happen in your life or change something, you have to have someone who's trained, preferably intuitive or psychic, that can take you into your subconscious mind to align you to what you want. So if your subconscious makes 95% of your reality, what that means is that 5% of you, like, oh, I want a new job, or oh, I want my partner, or whatever, that hopeful part, it's not going to happen until your subconscious is aligned to the outcome that you're desiring. So whatever's happening in your life, it's what your subconscious believes. And the reason I say it's preferable to work with someone who's intuitive or psychic is only because, a hypnotherapist, I love hypnotherapy, but if they're not completely in tune, they're going with a script and they're bringing you down, hoping it's going to work. When you work with a psychic, a healer, a shaman, we can see what's going on. Okay, good, they're there. They're getting down the steps. They're on the river of time and space. Or if the person can't see or sense what's happening in the past life, we can share what we're seeing. Okay, I'm seeing you as 1803. Very, very helpful. So past life regression is another thing that I weave into the 4 series if needed. And it's very, very powerful for clearing issues and then aligning you to what you do want. And then the 4th session is the Ancestral Clearing. And it was the 3 series, but the spirits had said to me, we're going to gift you with a session because you need to take people into their ancestral trees, their mothers and fathers' trees, and you have to show them how to let go of what they were born into. It's in their DNA. When you go to the doctor, you fill out the form. What did everyone have for diseases? You could have that because you're in their bloodline. You can energetically clear yourself from that and from their money issues. And if you look at some of the things that happened in the old days, the wars, the recessions, the Holocaust, the slavery, the massacres, all of that memory gets downloaded into us when we're born in this incarnation into these families. So the family tree clearing helps to clear and disconnect you from that. And you do a clearing for your mother and father's tree and their whole bloodline, which I feel is a beautiful gift. A lot of people are just going in and disconnecting and, with upset, like, oh, I'm sick of that family. I don't want their stuff. And this is a beautiful session where you're going in and you're honoring, thank you for bringing me onto the planet. I'm going to disconnect from the stuff, and now I'm going to help to heal your tree. And so then you heal their tree so that their incarnation, their next incarnation would be better, and some of the curses and all the stuff clears out. And then you make your own tree and you pick your own spiritual family. So I'm very grateful for the 4 series. And there's more coming because I have been getting some messages that this summer there's going to be something additional to the 4 series because a lot of people have gone through the 4 series and they're ready for the next step. So it's a paradigm shifter. It's an up-leveling to go through the 4 series. You clean and cleanse out everything, no stone unturned, and then you up-level to what it is that you want in your life.
Well, and it's amazing. And the ancestral clearing was my favorite. And you did that right away. It was the very first thing on our One Heart Summit. And it's still up and you guys can still watch it for now. Won't be up forever, but it is up for now. And I had such a profound experience with that particular journey because first off, the difference between my mother's tree and my father's tree was like profoundly different. They're very different looking, feeling, and there was a lot of energy sitting on my mother's side that needed to be cleared. And I really believe that that comes, I'm multi-generational in my family with my psychic gifts. And I think a lot of the women on my mom's side were repressed and, had a lot of death and all sorts of things because of their gifts. And so it needed to be cleared. And so it was just so incredible. That journey was really incredible. But the thing I loved about it the most is when you walk everyone through, or the person that you're working with, when you walk them through creating their new spiritual family tree. My husband and I both went through that process, and both of us had very different experiences as far as who showed up at our spiritual family tree. And it was really kind of fun to see like who you're really connected in with as family versus what maybe you thought. And since then, I felt very different in my connection. My relationships with my family is improved because I've separated myself from perhaps the blocks that came from that, and instead I can see them as individuals. And I don't know, the connection's different. It's just really, really amazing. I cannot recommend it enough. It was really amazing, Eve.
I'm so happy that that happened for you. And also that it makes sense that, with all the psychic in your realm, right? To kind of clear out of that, because there could have been some punishment and torture for having psychic gifts way back when. And it's good to separate yourself from anybody else's lineage so that you're just your own. Now you are your own lineage with your own spirit family and people that you cherry pick.
Yeah. And I think what people need to understand, or what I want folks who are listening to understand, I think is a better way to language that, is that it can truly impact you quickly in a profound way. I mean, one of the things that's happened with my own work is I'm taking my spiritual work into a different realm beginning May 1st, because I don't have to be like all out in your face with it. I'm able to actually move into my more creative space, and a space where I feel like my skill set and my gifts and talents are going to be used exactly what I'm here to do. And part of that came from that ancestral clearing. Part of it came from, I don't have to put all this out there for everyone to see because that part's been healed. And so that's how it impacted me directly. But I think I want everyone to understand that the ancestral clearing truly puts you in a space where you can see a change in your three-dimensional life relatively quickly following that, and how you're going to be able to stand in your own truth and your authentic self.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that one. I was guessing it was the Karmic Release, but that's amazing to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, the ancestral clearing, the karmic release is very potent also. And I was so lucky to experience that as well. And I know many of my clients have, and I think that everyone has had such profound experiences with you. But I can't say enough about the ancestral clearing, because I think that's something there's a lot of empowerment that comes with knowing that you can create your own lineage within the present moment versus having to attach to the lineage that from the past. I think there's gifts and there's talents to honor within your ancestral lineage. I also think there's something to be said about being able to break free of the patterns of that are blocking you. So I thought that was pretty incredible.
Right. And also you're going to get along better with them because you don't have those same family attachments. So you get to really see them through new eyes for who they really are. And you're not attached anymore as to whether they accept you or like you. And when I first did this, I remember I was living in California and my dad called me, and he was always kind of a critical, person, even though he loved what I did because his grandmother and great grandmother did it. But he called me out of the blue. I'll never forget. I was sitting in my vehicle and he called and he said, "Sweetheart, I just wanted to tell you how much I am so in awe and so proud of you out there in California all by yourself and traveling around and teaching, and you've just become this amazing woman." And I couldn't even believe it. And when we hung up, I was just heaving, crying in the car because I wasn't looking for his approval anymore. Isn't that when you usually get it? But it was just so beautiful to have that acknowledgement and to watch my parents get along better in ways that they weren't getting along. and to see different siblings and people in the family to flourish more and to soften more. And so it was without directly healing anyone, because we don't have their permission to heal them, but we can heal the tree, the structure, and the trauma that was part of that. It just kind of frees everybody up. And what great karma you're creating for yourself. Talk about creating great karma.
Yeah.
To be able to do that for two families.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I mean, I really can't say enough about it. So you guys still have the opportunity to access that video. But doing this 4-part series really puts you in a different space. So reaching out and connecting with Eve is a great and important thing. And so with that said, Eve, you know, right now, obviously, we're still in a space where we have to access everything virtually.
Yes.
And I actually think that's pretty amazing. You know, I mentioned this the other day, I think in another podcast. They've all run together, so I'm not really sure. But I know I said, you know, if the Chinese government hadn't run the Dalai Lama out of Tibet, he would not have been teaching the world and traveling as profoundly as he did. And so there's this real gift of being pushed out. And I feel like the you know, the coronavirus or this pandemic or whatever you want to call it, this global event has done that for all of us. It's pushed all of us out onto a virtual public platform where someone can access you who maybe couldn't access you before. I mean, that's the truth of it. They weren't able to do it before. So how are you doing your work now? How has your work changed with everything that's happened, and how are folks accessing you now in this different world we live in?
Well, to be honest, I've traveled so much that I have clients all over the world, and people text and call me. I'm kind of their go-to person. And so I work on the phone all the time. I'm so used to working on the phone, or I'm used to people texting me and saying, can you clear my house, or can you clear me? And we're not even on the phone. I just lay down, go into a deep trance, put on my eye curtain, drum, go into a journey, do the healing. And so Zoom is the only thing that's really new for me. And it's a whole different experience, and it's really beautiful to be able to see people and to feel their energy. And then there's other sessions where I don't feel like Zoom is appropriate because it can be very distracting. Like if I'm hypnotizing someone, there's no reason for us to see each other, you know. So I'm pretty comfortable on the phone, and Zoom is something new. I'm, you know, doing classes. One of my goals is to really help entrepreneurs, especially spiritual entrepreneurs, people that want to be a healer, that want to be, that already are healers and psychics, but that want to create a business. And that's one of my fortes, is assisting people in creating a business, setting their dollar amount that they need, you know, to live and to pay for everything, how to position themselves, again, how to let go of any blockages about being punished or tortured or killed as a witch, or seeing that happen in past lives. Whatever those subconscious fears are, the 4 series takes care of that. It really just wipes all that out, and people are able to be more visible, and they're comfortable being visible. And so that's a big thing that I like to do, is I like to have, besides the 4 series, when I coach people, whether it's regular coaching or shamanic coaching, I love when people have a goal. Okay, you know, 6 months or 3 months, let's get this manifested. I can't even tell you, it's soul food for me. I am completely lit on fire, and I just can't wait to help this person get to their goal. It's my favorite thing.
I love it. So what else do? You know, you do this 4 series, but then there's all these other things. And I think my specific question I'm asking is, you have all these events, you know, I'm on, you know, Instagram, and I'm seeing these posts, and you had mentioned about, you know, some of the circles and things you're doing. So what are the events that you're offering right now? How do folks connect in with that? And what's available?
Well, if they go to my website, they'll see the Shamanic Sundays. It's every Sunday. It's at 5 p.m. It's about an hour and 15 minutes, and it's only $10. It's my gift. It's my giveaway to bring people together in community, to get people drumming and journeying. I have another workshop right now called Manifesting Abundance, and that's with a tribal spirit brother of mine, Travis Preston. And we're doing that May 9th, and that's 4 hours on Zoom, and that's $77. And we're going to be taking people on journeys and teaching them how to call in abundance. And the thing with working with abundance is there isn't one way that's going to work for every single person. You have to give people 4 to 8 different ways, and then they try them on. I like that. I resonate with that. I'm going to do that one. And so that's what the class is about, is giving people 4 hours worth of all these different techniques so they can see which one that they resonate with, that feels magical. It's got to be magical and fun, or you're not going to do it. Nobody's just going to sit there and read affirmations. But if you create a big poster board with colored Sharpies and you draw pictures of what you want in your future, and you're looking at that every day, that's more magical and more fun. And you're apt to look at it instead of just, I'm now creating, reading these affirmations. So the way that we teach and with the journeys is very deep, but it's also exciting, adventurous, and has an element of magic in it.
I love it. So you talked about card readings and all of that. So what do you do when it comes to the card readings and the Reiki piece, and how does that fit in with your practice?
So with the card readings, I've always loved cards, and I have all 4 psychic abilities, so clairvoyant, clairaudient, prophetic, and kinesthetic. So I never know how it's going to show up, kind of like you. I do a prayer, an incantation, and I listen to the person. Right now, I'm not with people in person, so it's on the phone, but I'm used to that as well. So I mix up the cards and ask the spirits to create the cards to move in a way that, and I do a Celtic cross for the first 10 cards to come out. What do they need to hear? And then we fan out the cards after, and we pick on specific questions. I dip into their Akashic records and give them a couple of different messages as well. I can get a lot done in 30 minutes. And then an hour would be more of a life reading. If they have more in depth, what's my mission? What's my dharma? Along with all of the other information. But I also leave it up to the individual. If somebody has a host of questions and they only have 30 minutes, we'll just do questions.
Nice.
But some of it's prediction. I mean, I used to predict all the time. A little bit now, things have shifted where I believe that your thoughts and your feelings create your reality. So, I work with people in that way as well. I'll say, here's the highest and best scenario for you. You could have this if you clear up this, this, and this. If not, this is your other card reading. If you remain the way you are right now and how things are going. I think it's important for people to know that there is a higher potential, a higher road, a higher frequency, but they have to be on that frequency and stay on that frequency.
I totally agree. I tell everyone I'm not a fatalist. Like, truly, we create our life. And the only reason we read cards is to see if what we're creating is exactly what we want, right? Like, I totally agree with you. So I have to ask, I get your newsletter, and we have to talk about your donkeys, because they're so cute. The photo on your newsletter, they're so fuzzy and they're so cute. And I just want to kiss their little faces. So we have to talk about why you have donkeys and how many you have. I just want to know about your donkeys. It's so amazing.
Okay. So when I was living in California, which was the best education and adventure of my life, I loved being there. This woman had a donkey named Gooch, my friend Karen, and I just fell in love with Gooch and said, can I come over and pet him or brush him while you're at work? So I fell in love with him, and he did tricks. And when I was around Gooch, my heart opened in a way, and I felt filled with love and forgiveness. And I've always worked on forgiveness. It's always just been part of my spiritual practice within myself, within other people. I do the Ho'oponopono. I have different prayers. I forgive you for not being what I wanted you to be. I bless you, release you, and set you free. So the donkeys were really about forgiveness for me. That's what was happening to me when I was with Gooch. So I had this goal, and I talked about it for 5 years. I want to get donkeys. I want to get mini donkeys. But I knew it was going to be a big deal. And I was traveling and moving every 6 months and teaching. And I thought, how am I going to do this with donkeys? But eventually I got the 2 donkeys, Kimba and, well, I had Kimba and Rudolph. And so I had the donkeys, and they're miniature donkeys. They're super cute. They're super goofy. They do tricks, and I'm training them to be therapy animals. And there was a woman in California that had lost her child, and she would come over and have her session, and then she would walk with the donkeys, and she felt better. And we got caught in the fires several times. And in California, where I lived, a couple of places where I lived, I didn't have a barn because it was warm there. You didn't really need a barn. And Kimba and Rudolph really couldn't breathe. And I thought, it's time to go back east. So we evacuated, and we came all the way across country. And Rudolph just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And he was not a miniature donkey, whoever sold him to me. I didn't get papers. And so he was too big, and he was really hurting Kimba. And I didn't really know what to do. I knew I had to make a choice. So there was a woman that I ran into, and she had a horse, and she said, would you be willing to let go of one of your donkeys? Because my donkey just lost his companion. And I said, yes, Rudolph. And I said, if I can visit anytime I want. She said, yes. And so she now has Rudolph, and I got Stardust. So Stardust is an East Coast donkey. He's a Vermont donkey, and Kimba's a California donkey. And you can tell the difference because when it's pouring rain out, Stardust is soaking wet because he's okay with the East Coast weather or snowing. And Kimba's in the barn and dry. But they're super cute and they're funny. And so I have something called Mystic Mondays. If you get onto my email list, every Monday you get a Mystic Monday. It's either a picture with an inspirational message or a video. And then there's donkey talk underneath it. And there'll be a picture of the donkeys with some kind of gratitude message or forgiveness message. And they have their own Facebook page. It's called Intuitive Healing Donkeys. And so that's a service. People can come and have an equine therapy session with the donkeys and work through issues as well.
I love it. Well, we had to talk about it because they're just so cute. I mean, they just are. And, it's pretty funny in that ancestral healing session we had. I mean, I just can't say enough about it, but I had an experience where this horse came. So about a year ago, this horse showed up in my visions. And I had horses growing up. I had a horse, like my mom and I each had a horse. So we had 2 horses, but I had one that was my own, Dandy. And so I love horses, went to horse camp, it's a huge part of my energy field is horses, but it's been quite some time since I have had a horse or even ridden one, to be honest. It's been a few years. And this horse showed up about a year ago, just showed up in my energy field. Like, you're going to get a horse, like it's going to happen. And I believe it will. It hasn't yet, but I believe it's coming. And so I just could see this horse. And when I went through your ancestral healing or the ancestral clearing journey, this horse showed up, and it showed up in the journey. And I don't remember if you actually said there was a horse or not. I just remember that this horse showed up. I don't think you did. Yeah, this horse just showed up, and it put its head on my shoulder. So it was like laying on me. And the wildest thing, so that happened in that journey, and he was with me the whole time, this brown horse. I can see his face. And like 3 days later, this astrologer that I follow that's like really just incredible, and she's from Australia, posted a photo for her blog post. And it was a horse leaning over somebody's shoulder, like 2 or 3 days after this ancestral. Isn't that crazy?
Wow, yes.
And so I'm just dying to figure out, to see how this horse manifests for me. But I saw those pictures of the donkeys, and I thought, oh my God, you just probably love getting to spend time with them every single day. So I think if folks are tuning in, they should get on that Facebook page, because I'm going to. Those are the cutest little things ever.
They give really good donkey hugs too. You get down to their level, and little Stardust especially. They say if you kiss a donkey on the nose and make a wish, it comes true. So oftentimes people will kiss his nose and kids and make wishes, but he'll let you kiss his nose, and then he'll come over and he'll put his head right on your shoulder and lean and make a little noise like, this really sweet little noise. They're just beautiful. And I feel so blessed that they're on the property here, and that I can see them instead of them being quarantined somewhere, which I'm sure some people are going through that, where they can't even see their own animals because a lot of the barns are quarantined right now. So I'm very, very grateful.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I just love talking to you and hearing all your stories and having you be able to share. And I hope that everybody who's listening, if you're watching live now or you're listening on the podcast later on iTunes or Spotify, I hope you reach out to Eve and connect with her and take advantage of being able to heal and being able to step into who you are and kind of clear all these blocks and baggage away and being able to get there. And so, Eve, any parting words? And also, how does everyone get in touch with you so that they know how to find you?
Well, one thing I'd like to do before we stop, if it's okay, I would like to do a brief healing with a medicine song.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so, you can Google search if you don't want to try to memorize anything right now. You can Google search Eve Crowe with the word shaman, and I'll pop up. And I usually have a cowgirl hat on. And so you'll see that on my homepage. There is another Eve Crowe I heard somewhere in Atlanta, Georgia, who is a healer, but I don't think she does shamanism. But you can just Google search Eve Crowe with an E at the end. My website is my legal name spelled out, which is 2 E's in the beginning, EEVE, middle initial B like bird, and then Crowe, CROWE.com. And I prefer texting. I know a lot of healers don't. They want people to email. Quickest way to reach me is to send me a text or give me a call. I do check my emails, but a lot of things, go into spam, and so you don't always catch that right away. So if you want to have a session, I always tell people just send me a text or give me a call, and I'll get you in as soon as I can. Usually I do a 10-minute consult to just see if we are compatible and to make sure that it's a good fit before we move forward. And I always offer, a 20-minute check-in if somebody wants to call and pick a couple of cards, and a 20-minute reading. And again, just to see what's up, I can tell you what your core issue is or what your mission is, whatever you're working on. And then that's another way for us to see, because we want to just make sure that we're a compatible fit.
Cool.
So,
Well, yeah, go right into your song.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to do the river song. I like it because it's part English and part native. I kind of created the native part in the middle because I like to chant. They're called vocables, where you just get into this state where you're connected to your ancestors and your power animal and the medicine woman, the medicine man in you, and you just let yourself just sing from that state. River, she is flowing, flowing and growing. The river, she is flowing down to the sea. Mother, carry me. Your child I will always be. Father, carry me down to the sea. Down to the sea. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Oh, hey, hey, hey ya, hey ya. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya. Oh, hey, hey, hey ya, hey ya. Oh, hey, hey. Oh, hey, hey. Ho. And those songs just soothe your soul and just go in a very deep, deep way, very deep healing way. And I do have on my website, on my shop page, a sacred songs audio, and it has 6 songs. If you want to learn, if you want to sing along with me, if you want to do women's circles or men's circles or whatever you want to do, it's always nice to have a song to bring. Even when you gather together with other spiritual people, people always love to hear a song. So
I love
thank
it.
you so much for having me, Lisa. I have just, you feel like a tribal sister
Oh
right
my
from the
gosh.
start.
I so appreciate you. And yes, I'm glad that we're connected, and I'm glad to have you on and be able to share your gifts with everyone today. And just remember, everyone, you can connect with Eve at her website, Eve, B as in boy, Crowe. And that's Crowe, which I love because my mom's surname on her side is Crowe, Crowe.
Oh,
So
really?
that
Okay.
is part of our connection. When I saw that, I thought, oh my gosh, we're meant to meet for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, so amazing. So thank you for being on, and your songs are beautiful. And I can't encourage everybody enough to connect with Eve and all of the incredible offerings that she has in gifts. And thank you everybody for listening and tuning in. And just a reminder, we have another summit this weekend. It's all movement. It's yoga and block therapy and, movement activities with the body. And it's very accessible, even if you've never done it before. And you can sign up at oneheartoneearth.net. And I'm sure you'll be hearing from Eve on my show again soon. And stay tuned, everybody, and have an amazing week. And thank you so much, Eve. It's such an honor to have you on here again.
Thank you. Bless you. And it was wonderful to be in circle with all of you tonight.
Yes, blessings, blessings. Have a nice night, everybody.